If you go on the BBC News website, you see headlines. Then you can click on the link and you can go and read the article. Yesterday, when we were looking at law, we were looking at the headlines, the 10 Commandments. Today, what we've done is we've clicked a link. We're reading the article. So it's a bit harder work. It's a bit more dense. There's a lot more detail. But we can still learn stuff from these laws. One of the things that we can learn just by skim reading it is that God cares about justice, that he's not a sort of God that says, oh yeah, just live however you want, anything goes. The same God who is just in the way that he rescued Israel just a few chapters ago from slavery in Egypt where they were being brutally harassed, that same God of justice that meant he rescued them means that now when he's telling them how they're to live, this theme of justice, this part of his nature is still very much present, and so it's shown in the laws that he gives them. And when we dig into the laws, some of them that on the surface they seem a bit strange to us because we're reading them thousands of years later. Actually, we can see there are principles that show us something of God's heart. So one of those is God cares about those who are poor and those who no one else cares about. You see that in the slavery laws. So he's saying here to a people who, remember, just a little while ago were slaves themselves. They never had a day off. They were brutally treated. They had no rights whatsoever. They've been slaves for hundreds of years. He's saying you have to set your slaves free. Every now and then he's saying that you have to, if they're being punished unjustly, then they get set free. So he's trying to put protection around those who didn't have any protection in that culture. Also, this law about an eye for eye and tooth for tooth and life for life. Again, today we might find that a little bit strange, but in that culture, one of the things that it did is it limited vengeance. So you punch me in the face, well, I'll chop your arm off. You know, I've chopped your arm off, you chop my head off, you've chopped my head off, my whole family are going to chop all your family's heads off. So there was this escalating kind of vengeance thing. This limits it, and it says, no, if someone's done something to you, you do likewise back to them, but you cannot do more than that. And also, at that time, we know from laws of the other surrounding cultures that more often than not, the way that violence was punished was with a monetary fine. So, you know, maybe that was a punishment if you weren't very well off, but if you were a millionaire and you beat somebody up, you would effectively just have to pay a fine, which when you got loads of money, that's not a big deal, is it? And what it's saying instead of that is that actually, if you do something to someone, they will do likewise to you. Another big thing that probably will shock us from these passages is the amount of capital punishment that there is, the amount of stuff that you get killed for, not least being a sorceress and also cursing your mum and dad. What do we make of that? Because we've only got 3 minutes, there's only so much we can say. But I think as we immerse ourselves in some of these laws over the next little while, we'll see that there are certain things that God cares about very deeply. He cares about the individual human life. He cares about the way that we treat other people. He particularly cares about the way that we treat the poor. And what we also have to remember is that we always read the Old Testament through the lenses of the New Testament. And we know that ultimately the way that all crime and all sin is punished is by Jesus coming and taking that on himself. And that for me gives me peace about God's character, even when some of these laws, they seem a little bit strange and I don't quite get all of them.